Alleged killer Christian Soto causes a scene in the courtroom Tuesday, marking his second appearance since the brutal attacks.
23 News reporter Sydney Stoffregan was in the courtroom, and she talks to a forensic psychologist who says Soto's demeanor could impact his ability to stand trial.
17th Circuit Judge Scott Paganini says Christian Soto will stay in jail until his trial, granting the state's motion to keep him there. During his appearance Tuesday, Soto yelled at the judge and those in attendance, calling them puppets and serpents, as well as declaring that only God can judge him. Soto previously claimed his actions were the result of laced cannabis, something forensic psychologist Terrence Lichtenwald believes would not hold up in court. If Soto claims insanity, Lichtenwald says a number of criteria would have to be considered from before, during, and after the attack.
Are you now all of a sudden claiming that you have an insanity at the time of the alleged offense and you had absolutely no problems 24 hours before? Nobody had any concerns. You did not come to the attention of police, and now you're saying you do.
Soto currently faces more than a dozen charges, including first-degree murder, attempted murder, and home invasion.
Thank you, Sydney. And Christian Soto is expected in court again April 15th.